production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
On the next Broad and High, a local group shares the traditions of their Scottish heritage through music and dance.
Playing with a bagpipe band is maybe a little bit different than playing with other kinds of instruments because you all want to be playing exactly the same thing.
And we'll stop by a school for kids who just want to clown around. Thursday night at 8 on WOSU. Welcome to Broad and High. I'm your host, Kate Quickle. In Scotland, there are pretty much two distinct regions. There are the Highlands along the northern and western boundaries of the country, and then there's everywhere else. But it's the Highlands that are often portrayed as the romantic part of Scotland, with its rugged mountains and deep blue lakes. And for more than 50 years, the members of the Capital City Pipes and Drums right here in Columbus have been dedicated to sharing the Gaelic traditions of this Highland culture.
Well, Capital City was formed in 1963. We play traditional Scottish music and tunes not only that are traditional that have been around for sometimes hundreds of years, but even tunes that have been written fairly recently. And they're still writing music for the bagpipes. It's not an easy instrument to play. It does take a lot of breathing control because you've got to blow up the bag. You've got to keep the pressure steady to maintain the tone so you don't go flat and sharp or cut out. It's got 4 reeds, has 9 notes. So that's all you play is 9 notes on a bagpipe.
Oh, you mean you ready? 1, 2.
Playing with a bagpipe band is maybe a little bit different than playing with other kinds of instruments because you all want to be playing exactly the same thing. So instead of sounding like 6 bagpipes or 10 bagpipes, you sound like 1. Well, we generally have trouble finding places to practice, as the bagpipe band is quite loud. Right now we're quite fortunate. We practice in the basement of St. James Episcopal Church on Calumet and East North Broadway. It's a wonderful place to practice, but the basement is all hard surfaces, low ceilings, and very resonating, shall we say. It makes tuning quite a bit more difficult than it should be. And initially what we try to do is get the chanters all tuned to one another. We've got a very good class of Highland dancers, and we're one of the few bands that actually has dancers with the band.
Highland dancing is a traditional type of dance that is traditional to Scotland. Highland dancing is a little more ballet, where Irish dancing would be more tap-based. And then we also use our arms, and Irish dancers keep them straight down at their sides.
Toe, heel, toe.
You can start taking Scottish Highland dancing generally as early as 4, and then you can dance until your body won't do it anymore. Our 4-year-olds and any beginning students, no matter what age they are, start out with their basic Highland fling, which is the very first dance that they learn, and then potty bas and high cuts would be the next thing, which are a part of the sword dance. And that's what, tonight we'll definitely be doing the fling and the sword.
Show me you are turned out, yes.
The fling was initially a recruiting dance for the Army. The sword dance is a dance that was done before battle or after battle. And depending on whether it was danced before battle or after battle, the story is a little bit different. So before battle, you would place your sword on the ground and dance your sword dance. And if you did not touch the sword while you were dancing, then you would be victorious. But you didn't actually know if you were going to be victorious because you don't know what the other side's dancer did, whether he touched or not. So you still had to go to battle. If you danced it after, it was the dance of victory, and you would take your opponent's sword and lay it on the ground and place your sword over top of it, and then dance a victory dance. It's such a fun thing to learn and to be a part of, this community and these bagpipers and these dancers and these teachers, that it's so enriching in so many ways. So come and join us.
The group is always looking for more bagpipers, drummers, and dancers. Learn more at capitalcitypipesanddrums.com. You can also see them perform every summer at the Dublin Irish Festival. The Billy Ireland Cartoon Library and Museum on Ohio State's campus is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. The museum is home to the world's largest collection of cartoons and comics. In the museum's lobby, there's a tribute to Billy Ireland's Sketches of Life in Columbus, and we were there for the installation.
We had an opportunity to commission this art glass, and it seemed to us to be an ideal opportunity to use art glass to teach people about Billy Ireland's life and work, and to celebrate that in a format that might be somewhat unexpected and prompt people to think a little bit differently about how cartoons work and why they are beautiful and how they are beautiful.
We already felt like we had connected to Billy Ireland, and it was very exciting, the possibility of being able to make something that would go into a museum that would bear his name.
So I'm very touched that with all the artwork that Billy Ireland produced, that you would go out, that the Billy Ireland Museum people would go out and commission another artist to create a work of art.
Billy Ireland was the most famous cartoonist to work in Columbus, Ohio. Billy Ireland was born in Chillicothe, Ohio in 1880, and the story is that he, as a little boy, drew with chalk on the sidewalks.
I love the fact that he's self-taught. I really identify with that. That to me shows that, you know, his art came from within.
We need to remember that at the turn of the 20th century, photographs were still relatively new in newspapers. So cartoonists were hired to do all kinds of drawings.
I love the way that he was into politics and that he fought for what he believed in. I like his robustness, you know, the way he loved good food, and he liked to drink, and he liked to go fishing, and he liked to, you know, swim naked as a boy, and all of these things, you know, and hang out with politicians and judges. And he evidently was a very well-rounded man who just fit right in. And evidently, in order to do that, he was very respected for it.
Ireland drew 5 to 7 editorial cartoons every week, as well as an incredibly complicated full-page Sunday feature called The Passing Show.
All of it is very, very relevant. It looks like some of it may be dated, but the more you look at it, the more you're like, I know exactly where that applies to, you know.
Billy Ireland passionately cared about his community, and I think it's that love of place that really shows up in his work. He had opportunities to go to New York. William Randolph Hearst reportedly offered to build a color printing plant here in Central Ohio if Billy Ireland would do a comic strip for him, and Ireland refused.
And after the flood of 1913, the waterfront downtown along the Scioto was devastated. It really was a slum.
Basically, what Ireland did was to try to talk to people about Columbus's front door, that folks who came into Columbus from the west really saw a slum right before they reached downtown, and that we should be embarrassed about that, and we could do better.
I got 3/16.
I have a 16th of that.
Bring it this way.
I've got about a 1/4 inch.
The work came with a number of challenges. One is, how do you translate cartoons, which were intended for paper, to art glass?
So then, after we cut the glass, it goes to the painting stage. And that is very, very, very elaborate. You have to work out all your different colors, you have to work out your firing temperatures, and you have to work out your style. I think we probably spent 3 or 4 months just practicing the style. And the reason is that you don't want to start off, you don't want your project to look like it's a progression of skills. You want to go into it with top-notch and be top-notch throughout the whole project.
Each panel is on average probably fired between 4 and 6 times, depending on how many colors or what touch-up a line may need here or there, or what was lost in the kiln, because the kiln can sometimes burn away the color in an unexpected way, or the oil didn't grab as much pigment as it looks like. My job was to come up with paints that would look as much like watercolor as possible, and pen lines and strokes and thicknesses that would look as much like what he was doing on paper, except we're using glass. We have a selection of cartoons that we could use, and then figuring out how they interacted best with each other and what position, you know, and how to balance them throughout the window so that it didn't look like, you know, you just placed them in picture frame, so to speak, but they're all interacting with each other in some way, moving or playing one off the other.
The interesting thing I think about our art glass is that it follows the tradition of art glass in the great cathedrals of Europe. The art glass is there to teach, and the window here in the reading room is intended to beautify, but also to teach people about Billy Ireland's career and all of the things that he did for our community.
And I hope that one day when people see this piece, they will think that someone did this out of a true passion and love, not only for their craft, but for their art and for the inspiration that it came from.
We want the windows to draw people into that type of sense of just awe, of, you know, appreciation that, you know, this man really was quite brilliant. You know?
Have about 5 times as much, between 5 and 6 times as much storage space, and we have 3 real museum quality galleries where people can come to see work that is interesting and provocative and fun.
Radha Lakshmi of Cincinnati grew up in southern India among women who rose before dawn to draw elaborate geometrical patterns in rice flour at the thresholds of their homes. This ancient ritual, called kolam, is meant to protect your sacred space from the negative energy of the outside world. It is widely practiced by female Hindu family members and is a time for meditation and reflection. Lakshmi says her art has been influenced by her early exposure to this practice, and she incorporates her kolam designs into her printmaking. And though the application is different, the spiritual connotation remains the same.
My interest in art began, I think, when I was 5, 6 years old. And it was due to my grandmother and my mother, the women in my family, because we had sacred spaces and rituals and symbols every day in our lives. And one of those rituals had a big impact in my art, and that was the threshold art form called kolam, which means beauty, and it's done at the threshold first thing in the morning with rice flour. And my grandmother and the women in the family would get up and create this every day. I had gone through a lot of difficulties in my life, and somehow this sense of that threshold or the ritual art or that sacred spaces kept me grounded. I always have a sacred space in my place where I sit and meditate or pray every morning. Every moment where I'm walking, or if it's in my house, or it's in my art form, or it's in my life, that I had to bring that mindfulness, I had to bring in that sacredness, I had to bring in that stability in my life. I've been creating art for so long, and it's always been very subjective about what I've been going through in life, what kind of emotional state I was in, but it's always been a very spiritual state. I'm a printmaker, and I love printmaking. I used to paint. I was a painter first, then I got into sculpture. My style evolved. It became very contemporary. It wasn't traditional. It was more contemporary with a story in each of my artwork. Everything had a story. For me, when you look at the work, you might think, oh, it's just patterns, but it's actually hundreds of years where women have washed the ground and created the pattern, and washed the ground and created the pattern. So it's layering of those years of honoring women and honoring Mother Earth for the abundance she's given us. It slowly evolved to using photographs in my work of my family, my ancestors. My art creation is very evolved in a sense of it's as complex as I am. It's so many layers of my life. It's as complex. I have to tell a story through my art form. I have to feel that essence of sacredness in it. I have that same thing in my kitchen, which I love to cook. I create a sacred space there. My love for cooking actually was passed down again from my grandmother and my mother. Because growing up in India, we lived in an extended family. And so I had my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, my sisters. It's these memories that you hold on to as a child while growing up in that beautiful extended family is what got me into cooking again. And I love to cook, and people have loved it. But also I want to learn more about the herbs and spices and healthy lifestyle. Just like my art form, that also came into my life. And so that's my sacred space. It's so important that after you create a kolam every day, you let go. You're letting go of all that you're holding on to. That letting go is important. And the same way, you can't put a price on an art, especially when you're working with cancer patients and other people, or mentoring teens. You just can't put a price on that. It's one of those things that just fills you with such happiness. Just connecting with the passion that they have for kids and just sharing this sacred space with them and this art form of kolam, you should just see their face. They have never seen anything like this. They think it's better than chalk drawing, but actually giving them that concept of that you too can create that sacred space. I want the people who look at my work to capture that essence of sacredness, something that touches you deep inside, whether it's with photographs or whether it's with the colors that I use, some symbols that I use. It's easy for them to capture it, because there is a movement that's going on in Cincinnati where people are trying to create that sacred space.
Learn more about Radha Lakshmi on her website or follow her on Twitter. You can find her at radartist.com. There's a theater company in Cincinnati that is teaching its students lessons in physical fitness, balance, and hand-eye coordination. This is one place where the instructors will never tell you to stop clowning around.
Clowning is much, much more than putting on a costume and a wig and makeup and going out and waving at crowds and things like that. There's a whole lot of study. There's a lot of study of the clown as an actor. So in 1997, we started the Youth Circus with a single class, after-school class, and one summer camp. Right now, we have basically one program, and that's the Youth Circus, and we have different levels of it. And to start off with the Youth Circus, they start off with doing some basic skills, stilt walking, some kind of manipulation like juggling or Chinese yo-yo, walking on the rolling globe, where they start standing on the rolling globe and eventually learn to walk on it. And then they progress, and they also do theater games, creative dramatics, creative movement. There's exercise involved. All the classes involve a certain amount of stretching and doing Pilates, doing planks, and building some core strength. We have a high retention rate, and some kids stay for 2 or 3, 4 years. And eventually, if they like it, they join our Saturday advanced class. Some skills you never quit doing, like juggling. You can juggle all your life and just get better and better. Some skills they put aside and they move on and master other things and more difficult and advanced skills. So the advanced kids do German wheel. We have beginning and advanced unicyclists. We have an aerials program now. So it's growing about what we offer and how good the kids are getting and how deep they're getting into it. Go ahead, slap and stops. Okay? And then slap him back. But you'll want to, actually it doesn't matter. Ready, go. I think our thing is circus is the perfect blend of movement, performance, physical fitness, childlike wonder. It's all those things. And because for me, it's just a perfect blend of all those things, because there is theater involved, there's performance involved, all of our kids perform. One of the parents of whose son has graduated from high school and is off to college now, she thought that what her son learned that My Nose Turns Red, the unicycle skills and the German wheel skills were wonderful, but what was really, really important and really, really useful were the leadership skills. He was such a key leader in the group and such a good, just a good student, and just was so good with the younger kids. And we have a whole group of high school kids now who are stepping in and are learning to do that and are doing a fantastic job. When I was 20, someone would have asked me if I would end up working with kids. It was not in my vision, it was not my vision. And now I can't believe how much I do believe how much I like it. It's just wonderful. And they always come through, they always surprise me. I'm just amazed how they work so hard. We're not really necessarily aiming, we're not a pre-professional training program. When we get someone who really, really wants to do it, that's great, and that's a real treat to have that kind of dedication. But we really want them to hopefully enjoy circuses and clowning the rest of their lives, and but we want them to take away the confidence to be able to talk in front of people, to which is I think is a basic job skill anymore. I don't think that's it's just basic. Every kid should be doing something in front of people. To be able to do problem solving, we do a lot of teamwork, to appreciate teamwork. And I think one of the things we want them to appreciate is that comedy and theater can be sweet and gentle. It doesn't have to be insulting or big or loud or like so much I think of entertainment is today. Okay. Yeah, we need handles. You are correct. We do need handles.
That's our show. You can find all of our stories at WOSU.org, and of course, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're taking you out today with a tune by Sophomore. This Columbus-based band made their freshman debut this January with their album, Summer Lovin'. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next week on Broad and High.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and columbusmakesart.com.